For Honor is now pushing towards its 9th year anniversary. Even after all of this time, the game still has a dedicated fanbase that grows daily. Most other companies could only dream about publishing such a long-lasting franchise. Sadly, with the latest releases from Ubisoft, they aren't doing themselves any favors, but that's beside the point. Keeping in mind all of the time that has passed since the release of the game, the developers were still able to create an insane amount of hype for this old game. I mean, just look at their latest hero release, Sohei. My man has been making waves throughout all the internet, and the numbers clearly back this up. With its absolutely unique combat system that is still unrivaled to this date, and a lot of crossovers with other major titles, like Dead by Daylight and Destiny, I personally don't see the game dying anytime soon. Unlike most other games, there has only been one massive change to the combat system. With some smaller changes along the lifetime of the game that did manage to change up the flow of combat. But with a community that is constantly improving their skills in the game, day by day, there are some massive hurdles that just need some addressing. I find that only by tackling these problems head on, this game will become even more of a masterpiece. In this video, I will be focusing on one main mechanic in the game. So, no more messing around. Let's jump straight to the point. To start things off, let's talk about the most integral mechanic of the game, revenge, and why it simply doesn't work the way it is implemented into the game right now. So, after surviving against multiple opponents that actively attack you, you gain the ability to pop revenge. In revenge, you gain a full health bar over your current one. You gain hyper armor on all your attacks and gain the often overlooked ability to be able to guard break your opponent out of any attack, no matter how far into their attack animation they are. But not only your offensive capabilities are greatly increased, your defensive capabilities also increase substantially. After parrying an opponent, they will fall flat on their ass, allowing for a devastating punish. All of this is based on a timer that is constantly ticking down. After it ends, you lose all of these mentioned abilities. So far so good, right? Fuck no. To understand why, we have to analyze how this massive mechanic actually works. After being hit or blocking any attack by your opponent, you'll receive their revenge tag. This tag will expire after 5 seconds of not receiving damage or blocking said opponent. Also worth mentioning is that you will only be gaining revenge if the opponent you're fighting has less revenge tags than you have. So if you are in a 2v2 scenario, both you and your opponent recently took damage, neither one of you will be gaining revenge from one another. If you fight against even halfway decent opponents, they will be able to abuse the hell out of this broken mechanic. And it's not even difficult. They will give you a stare down, notice that you're close to revenge, and just piss right off. I just hate how this combat mechanic can only be used by focusing on blocking, meaning the best way to gain it is by strictly playing defensively. No, I absolutely don't want revenge attack to be base kit. That would be horrible. Pretty sure that would actually kill the game. I just want to enable revenge to be gained by actively attacking your opponents. So, let's make this happen with one easy, very simple change. If one of your attacks is blocked, parried, or hits an opponent, you gain that person's revenge tag. Just this change would remove the stupid stare down you get from your opponents when they realize your revenge bar would actually fill up with the next attack you block. So, if one of your opponents stops attacking you, you will still be able to refresh and get their revenge tag by just attacking them. This allows for an all-out playstyle where you actually get to fight both opponents the whole time. This minor addition to revenge would make gaining the last 25% of that bar way less infuriating. But why stop there? Since there is no way they will change such an integral part of the game after so many years, why not completely rework it? Let's have some fun with it. With gank combos that can kill you before gaining full revenge. And a generally inconsistent revenge gain. Why not just overhaul this old ass mechanic entirely? The only thing I will not be changing is the way you gain revenge. Apart from that, I will be flipping everything about this massive mechanic on its head. So, ladies and not so gentlemen, welcome to Revenge 2.0. The main thing I will be touching upon is how revenge works. If you don't have a full stick of butter, it's the same as if you have none. Why do I have to wait for it to be absolutely full to even be able to protect myself against multiple opponents? Let's just split revenge into smaller, less powerful parts that can be activated without having a full bar. With my change, the revenge bar will now be split into 4 segments, each one being 25% of the full bar. From 0 to 25%, you still won't be able to activate revenge. Sucks to suck, I guess. From the first segment onwards though, you will be able to utilize your progress. Reaching the 25% mark will unlock the ability to use the weakest form of revenge. This segment and every following segment will always consume your entire bar of revenge. In this version of revenge, your attacks will not gain hyper armor. Your attacks won't deal extra damage. You won't be able to guard break your opponents out of any animation you like, and your parries and throws won't knock over your opponent. You will also not get the auto parry on activation. So far so bad, right? Yeah, it should be, with how easy it is to actually gain those 25%. But what do you even get? You get a temporary shield equivalent to the amount of revenge you currently have. This revenge segment is for those scenarios where just before defeating your first opponent, another one comes to help him out. In order to tell these new segments apart from the old revenge, I thought we can make the border of revenge have a different color, depending on which segment you are currently on. Coming back to the mentioned scenario, let's say hypothetically, you already took damage from the 1v1 and they shortly had a massive advantage of the 2v1. So, this very weak version of revenge is here to help you equalize the playing field. Since 25% is a laughable amount of revenge to gain, this would be way too spammable. So let's just slap a 15-second cooldown on it. During this time, you will not gain any amount of revenge. All of the numbers I will be giving in this video are just placeholders and are subject to change, depending on the impact Revenge 2.0 will have. The second revenge segment will be reached at 50%. When activated, you will gain the respective amount of temporary health equal to the percent of revenge you have. In this form of revenge, you will gain uninterruptible on all your attacks and won't be able to be guard broken out of your attacks. Your throws and parries still won't knock your opponents over, and you still won't have the auto parry on activation. This segment will also have a 15-second cooldown, meaning no spamming this form of revenge either. This segment could be used to give you the offensive advantage over 2 opponents that you have already softened up and survived for long enough and were still not able to gain a full revenge bar. If this exact scenario would occur in a game, one of your opponents could simply deny your revenge by being idle, meaning they just had the extreme advantage over you for no threat of their own. Reaching 3/4 of the revenge bar, you will gain an almost identical revenge to the one we know and love. Or, in this case, absolutely despise. You are basically already reaching for the 100% revenge, but are not willing to take the risk and opt out for a slightly weaker version of revenge. while also factoring in that after your revenge ends, you will not be able to gain any more for 15 seconds. For this segment, the revenge bar will be converted to HP and you gain all the abilities of revenge, a part of the damage increase and the auto parry. If you paid any attention to what I was rambling on about, you will probably wonder what the last segment will do. Oh, let me tell you. So, you somehow managed to gain the full bar without the game cheating you out of it. If the last segment of revenge will be activated, you will have the exact same revenge that we have in the game now. Increased damage, auto parry on activation, throws and parries knocking on the ground, and yada yada. I don't need to re-explain revenge to you guys. Hopefully. But I added one twist. After landing an attack on an opponent, your revenge bar will be frozen for 0.5 seconds. Meaning, you will be able to stay in revenge longer and gain the maximum value out of it. This change would make it so people in lower skill brackets would basically never lose revenge, because nobody can block slide there. I would restrict the maximum amount of time you can be in revenge to 12 seconds. The cooldown I've mentioned for the earlier segments of revenge will not apply. So, if you use revenge at 100%, you will also be able to regain it right after it ends. These are all very substantial changes to such an old and unique mechanic that basically hasn't been changed in a major way since forever. As I already mentioned, all of the numbers and abilities are up to debate and are absolutely not cast in stone. With this video, I just tried to spice this relic of a system up while adding some more depth into the game. And also, try to stay as close to the mechanic we have in the game as I can. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about Revenge 2.0. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end. I hope you enjoyed. I will be keeping this outro a bit shorter than last time. But I still want to thank each and every one of you for taking your time out of the day to watch my video. I really hope I can spark a conversation in the comments where you guys let me know what you think about my suggested changes. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wrote, so there's only one thing left to do. Watch yourselves out there, okay?